lecture. If you want to consult me tomorrow, I'm available.
You're kidding me.
For sure, in the afternoon, so please, you can take a opportunity of
Isn't it okay?
I'll help you. Okay.
Excuse me. Sorry. You're not using that plug, right? Can I use it?
Okay, what are we going
Thank
to
you.
cover? Hello, everyone.
It's from you.
Hi. Hi. Okay, so you've come to the lecture, so is it,
Are you
what
sure
can I
it's
do for
just
you
not like
that
wherever
it's
you're
better off
sitting
at
is
the library and doing your own study? Like, that's always a trade-off, right? Come to a lecture. Why is it worth coming to a lecture? Yes, you have to come for attendance, but is there any value you get attendance? Okay, number one, this is what we're going to do today. Number one, we're going to, we'll finish the chapter or the objectives that are relevant for questions that you need to cover in tutorial next week, which may in the exam, okay? So we will finish, I think there's only one learning objectives left. We're not doing all of the learning objectives, 7 and 8 we're not doing, okay? All right. Number two, I will give you another example of supplier comparison, which the chapter talks about, but it doesn't really give you many examples. But my example will be more of a case study. Okay. And I'll try and then wrap that up. Okay, what are the big takeaways that you need from chapter 4 this week? Then, after that, after the break, I want to talk about your assignment. Okay, and last minute things that you need to pay attention for your presentations next week. Okay, right. Put your hand up if you think that would be useful. Okay, good. All right. So that's our plan for today. Where I left you off on Monday was with just-in-time purchasing. We basically started to go into learning objective 4. All right, learning objective 4 is describe why companies are using. Why are they using just-in-time? And the whole idea was, early on, when we talk about inventory management, we are trading off ordering costs, right? And we're trading that off against carrying costs. Is that right? Okay. All right. But the big idea of going to just-in-time is now we're not worried so much about ordering costs. Under just-in-time, you can do 300 orders a year because you automate the whole ordering process. And so now we are not trading off ordering and carrying costs. We are trading off carrying costs, right? And what's this missing one? Stock out, that's it. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Okay. And class, the costs are real, okay? When you read the textbook, I know, I'm sorry, I apologise. Textbooks are not very good at showing you how real things are. When I go into factories I can see this. I showed you a video of a factory that just had $2 million of inventory. I showed you the video. Okay, it's real. Okay, carrying costs are real, and people don't understand how much it costs to carry inventory, right? But when we go to just in time, we're trying to reduce that, and we're trying to minimize this probability, right? Okay, the probability that you get stock out. Right? At the end of the day, there's nothing's perfect. All we're trying to do is we're just trying to optimize. That's all. Okay, we're just trying to optimize. We're just trying to get the best balance. There's no perfect balance. So every business, this balance may be different. Okay, you do your big data, you do the econometrics, you do the statistics, and each business has to figure out how to optimize these two things. Okay, because the stock out cost for a B2B customer may be totally different for a B2C customer. Okay, stock out for an individual customer on Amazon, you know, they get angry that it's only one person and it's only one thing that they don't buy from you, you know what I mean? But a B2B customer, stock out, you can lose thousands, millions of dollars. You see the difference? Okay, so at the end of the day, as you go across inventories, as you go across industries, across products, across different customers, these costs are different, but for every business, we're just trying to optimize, we're trying to get the best balance. How do you figure that out? Well, you're being taught statistics, you're being taught big data analysis by the econometrics department, is that right? Yes or no? You did statistics, right? Yeah, so when you go into any business, you get the data and then you start to figure it out, okay, and then optimize. Okay, so that's the trade-off. Just-in-time purchasing, I covered this, and remember the key thing that was different. What was that? Remember there were 6 costs of carrying inventory at the beginning of the chapter, and one of them was not opportunity costs. What was it called? Yell it out. Shrinkage. And what was shrinkage? Oh, by the way, is shrinkage significant? Remember there's 6 items. Is shrinkage a significant one or just a minor one? It's significant. Shrinkage, you've gone to the shops in the mall, right? And what happens now when you go into most shops, you go into IT, you go into data and everything, they've got these big security things at the front, right, that you walk through. And when you buy your clothes, do you think you can walk out without paying for them? No, that's not the reason why you walk out without paying for them. The reason is because they've got this thing stuck to the clothes that if you pull it off, the dye will come out and it will just go out all over the clothes, right? So, you know, we use our common sense, oh, we better pay for this, and then they'll take it off and we can go out of the shop. Why would shops spend millions of dollars putting this on every item? Like, you know, any of those big stores in the mall, okay? They literally have thousands of stock keeping units, okay? And then they may have, think about the clothes, right? Thousands stock keeping, thousands of different clothes. And then they have 5, 6, 7, 10 different sizes of each or stock of each. They've got to put those things on every item, all right? So do you think shrinkage is not significant? If it wasn't, they wouldn't invest millions of dollars in all this security, okay? Because customers would just walk out of the shop without paying. It happens, okay? It's a probability. It happens in every country in the world. It's not just this is this culture and this is that culture. Okay? It's just part of it, right? So shrinkage is just so critical. So what is really interesting when we talk about just in time, we're not focusing on shrinkage, we're actually focusing on opportunity costs. And part of the reason is that we're moving away from just in time is not retail so much, it's focused more on business to business. So with business to business customers do not steal your inventory like retail customers might. And or employees. Okay. And so that's why shrinkage is not part of that 6. Okay, but opportunity costs are there. Okay. And I showed you this on Monday, and the whole idea here was to say, okay, there are 3 types of costs going on here. There are carrying costs, there are ordering costs, and then there are, and then there's knockout costs. And so what we wanted to show here is that each of those 3 costs are significant. What I showed you on Monday is that the difference in ordering costs is 258, right? 258, can you see that? See the mouse? Right here. Okay, 250. 260 minus, 26, so 234. Okay, the difference in the opportunity carrying costs is 945. Okay, so yes. Okay, and then the difference in other carrying costs, you add these both up, there's 255, and here you got 2,600, and you take that off, so you're 2,350, and the difference here in the stockout cost is 600. So you got 3 types of costs there. You got the ordering costs of about 250. Your carrying costs is up over 2,000 plus, right? And then your stockout costs is 600. And so what this question is trying to show you is that it's not about that you're never going to have ordering costs. You're always going to have ordering costs. Ordering costs always cost money. Okay? It's not, the aim of just in time is not to make this 0. The aim of just in time is to optimize between 1, 2, and 3. Okay? That's the aim. All right? And when you know that, this is 2,000, or the carrying costs are 2,000 plus, and the stock out 600, well, these are the relevant ones that you want to balance off and trade off. Okay? That's what the point is being made. Optimization is not about making one of the factors 0. Optimization is about getting the total cost as low as possible. Now we go to supply chain management. Here we have page 811, the relevant total costs of purchasing from 2 suppliers. I love this because, of course, I'm visiting suppliers, right? So there's an example in the textbook about 2 suppliers. And what I began to show you on Monday was, doesn't this look like what you studied in Management Accounting 1? Activity-based costing. In Management Accounting 1, you said, not all products use the same resources. Some products use more resources than others. Therefore we need to take costs differently. And we need to be specific on the drawings. What this is showing here is that, not all suppliers are the same. One supplier gives you more trouble than the other. So therefore, the activity-based costs can be applied to working out which supplier we should buy from. Wow. Okay, so that's what this is showing, and I was so happy to see that this is an extension of a principle that you've already learned in your first management accounting course. And so, what's the big idea here? All right, we have one supplier, Rytech, the other one, Denton. And the purchasing costs are at one stage, it's less for Denton, it's more for Rytech. Notice the ordering costs. You're ordering 130 from each. Okay, so there's no difference. And then we can go down to the opportunity carrying costs. And there's not much difference again, 103, 105. And then other carrying costs, not much different. But what we're doing here now is that apparently the total costs associated with Denton is much higher. And why is that? Because one of these suppliers is not giving you the quality that you're expecting. One of them is delivering poorer quality. Which one is it? Hands up for Rytech. Hands up for Denton. Okay, Denton, yes. And so, because of that poor quality, you cannot use it. So what do? You send it back. And so at the end, it costs you more money to work with that supplier because $3,250 of customer return costs. That just wastes your time. Of course, the supplier's got to replace that, but that's not the point. Okay, all right. So this is what you would do in looking at the relevant total costs from purchasing from two suppliers. Okay, what do I show you now? This is not on your PowerPoint slide, but I wanted to dig deeper into, okay, are there things they're talking about in the textbook that are relevant to what I've observed in my work in Hong Kong? And yes, there is. What you've got here is a summary of some of my interviews with Big Ideas, Tell Apparel and Weave. Now, do you all know Tell Apparel? Basically, Tell Apparel is the largest manufacturer of white shirts in USA. Wow, so pretty big, huh? Pretty big, yes. All right, so I interviewed them about how do you manage your suppliers? And one of their key persons works for their consulting arm, and the name of the consulting arm is Weave Consulting. And that person, I asked him 3 big trends, and I summarised that on the PowerPoint for you. Do you have a summary in front of you on your slides? And that's Fred Lemoyne. I want you to have a read that because these are 3, I just asked him, what are the 3 big trends going forward, like 2018 going forward? What are they? Like, this is not in your textbook, but this is real stuff. This is the real thing that this consultant told me. Okay, number 1 was this notion of total cost of ownership. So have a look at the second, I want you to digest this because this is real information. See the second line? Underline this. People these days do not look at the cost of free on board on its own. What free on board means cost from the factory to get it to the shipping port that you are shipping from. Okay. They look at the total cost of ownership. What does that mean? Total cost of ownership includes FOB price, cost of shipping, including all the worst orders, air flights I would have had to make because of delays, okay, in manufacturing because of disruption in my upstream supply chain. Also, the cost of holding inventory as a way to protect me from supply performance or delay. What is he saying? Oh, if I have a supplier that I have one inkling that they may delay, what do? Oh, I need to have more safety stock. Wow, isn't that amazing? In the chapter they talk about that, right? Wow, amazing. Okay, and the first real concept now is negotiations from FOB for these prices. for these prices is gone or is going, okay? So in other words, they're not just focusing on FOB, they're focusing on other factors that impact on the total cost of sourcing from a supplier. All right, what is the next big factor, the next big trend that you need to know about? Design to cost. How many of you have heard of design to cost? Hello? Okay, let me give you an hint. Okay? Hint, do you get an idea of what this is? Do you know what this is? Did I ever give you a diagram that starts to look like this? And then I started mentioning this thing called target costing or target pricing, okay? And then you only need to worry about number 1 and number 4, remember? And what was number 4? Number 4 was functional analysis, is that right? And what was this one? Design analysis. And what was this one? Process value analysis. You remember that? I remember teaching you, therefore you must remember being taught. Wow. Okay, so let's read what he said again. Design to cost. Let's read what he says. Okay, something I think is definitely very fast growing trend. Okay, this is what remember, Fred is one of the leading consultants of the apparel supply chain in Hong Kong. Okay, lovely guy. Okay, before they would say, I would like to buy a yellow of the shirt. Great, go find a yellow shirt. You can find in the market and we'll figure it out. These days is gone. We see a lot of companies, we're going to design a product to eat the cost. We're going to break it down and have a very clear understanding of a brand and how much it costs me for this component, that component, the cost to assemble it. Then I'll design the product and cost it that I can afford to pay. Then I'll go out and find people who can make the product to that cost. So you design to cost, there's very little negotiation to be had because guys tell you how much it. Okay, so what it's saying is that these days, it's like I go to you, you're the customer. I'm going to sell shirts, okay? And I go and talk to the customer. Do you want to buy a shirt? Okay. What do you want? What do you care about? You care about the pocket? No, we don't care about pocket. Okay. But I like a good collar. So then when I design the shirt, I'm not going to worry too much about the pocket. I'll make sure the collar is good because that's what you pay attention to. So you actually only design in features that the customers will pay for, and you go backwards. That's exactly what I said 2 weeks ago, right? Functional analysis. Okay, so functional analysis and design analysis is all about what he's talking about here, design to cost. Wow, so that's the second big trend that he's talking about, this leading consultant in Hong Kong. Wow, that's what we've been teaching. And the last one, here's the last, you'll like this one. You'll like this one, negotiation through planning. What does that mean? Well, what tends to happen is, okay, China is still the largest manufacturer of apparel in the world. No matter how much has been outsourced and gone to India, Bangladesh and all that, China is still just huge. Okay, so what he says is that when they go and buy socks, there are some socks that you know that are going to be purchased at Christmas time, like black socks. This Christmas, next Christmas, people buy black socks. Christmas after, black socks. Black socks will be demanded all the time. It's not going to change from year to year, okay? So you never ever order those black socks in a very busy season where you just find out the latest styles and then you want to get them made. You order the black socks, you order those styles that are not specific for a particular season or a particular year. You order that in the downtime. And that's what he's saying here. So I've seen clients come to us and say, fantastic, I'm going to spend on negotiation tactics. I'm going to tell them we're going to give them 10% more than last year. In other words, they go to the factory, oh look, of course I want black, I want red, I want grey, I want green, I want all these socks. And in order to get the manufacturer to make them all for me, I'll just pay them 10% more. But the factories are saying, no, we don't have capacity, we're busy. Okay, so from beginning September every year, factories are just booked out. September, October, November are the biggest factory operation days in the world, right? Because 70% of retail in the US is actually purchased at Christmas time, 70% for the whole year. So it's not like 1/12 is manufactured every month, okay? But sometimes you don't know what the in thing is at Christmas until September, October, you know what I mean? So you never go to the factory with a plain, oh, can you do 100,000 black socks for us? Why? You do that in May, you do that in April. So you plan the boring stuff that is purchased year in, year out. You always plan that year in, year out. Okay? Just plan that in the off-season time. But you don't know what the fancy colour is going to be at Christmas, and so you only save your peak manufacturing time or planning. You plan that peak time for those colours that you find out at the last minute. Oh, blue is going to be big at this Christmas. And so now you save your manufacturing capacity for that colour you just found out. Whereas black, that's every year, all right? So you never ever clog up your last minute manufacturing capacity with a colour that you know is just going to be ordered every year anyway. You see, you use the manufacturing downtime. So you go to the factory and say, look, the factories, they don't want 10% more. They just don't have the capacity to do blue and black. You just go to that factory another time when they're quieter and then you order them black. So that's what he's saying here. 1, 2, 3. They are the big challenges that he told me going forward. Okay. Now we want to go to Learning Objective 5. Learning Objective 5. Okay. Don't worry. Distinguish material requirements planning systems. Okay, let's go on to this.
Nice.
Okay, materials requirement planning is a push-through system, and the best example I can give you is what HTC talked about. HTC, remember I asked you, when I spoke to the manager in HTC, I said, what is your biggest challenge? And he said, my biggest challenge is not getting the sales forecast right. If I can get the sales forecast right, I can run the whole supply chain like clockwork. And that's materials requirement planning basically needs a good forecast because it says it is a push-through system, okay? It's based on demand forecasts. So you need to have a very good sales forecast if you just rely on a materials requirement planning system. So it's a push-through. Just in time is more a demand pull. And so you only produce something when you know there's going to, customers run up. So remember that supplier that made those car audios? And they made all that inventory, and that inventory was waiting for the customer to ring up, can you send me 1,000 of these audios to go into our car manufacturers I'm selling to, right? So then they would open up the inventory, pull out the audio, and then put the software in that fits the customer's need, and then they pack it up and then ship it to the customer. So in some ways that company was doing it half and half. It was only just in time with respect to the software, but with the hardware, it was making lots of inventory. It was so funny. And it's making money, this company's making money. right? So just in time is demand pull. We're pulling through, okay? So very quickly on materials requirement planning, because I don't think there is not a computational question related to this in the tutorials next week. So I'll quickly go through this. You need to know the demand forecasts, the bill of materials, and information about companies' inventory of materials. So can I ask you a question? Stand up if you know what we mean by bill of materials. Hands up. Bill of materials. Have you heard of that word before? Okay, so just in case, I just want to show you. All right, I've already shown you this picture before, and that is the copy iPhone. That is not the real one. Okay, okay. But now this is the real one, and this is your iPhone, and this is the iPhone 6. So it's a bit old, but notice that the cost of the components that go into your iPhone, and you're holding your iPhone now, is about 1/3 of what you paid for it. Wow. So Apple make lots of money? Well, sure they do, yes. They make lots of money, yes. Right? See, look at the parts, display, memory, communications, cameras, processor, mechanical, total parts, $200. Wow. So that is your bill of materials, all those little parts. But those parts is up to about 200 parts that go into your iPhone, but they are the main parts here. So when we talk about bill of materials, we are talking about all of these semiconductors that go into your iPhone, and we can talk about all of those materials over time haven't really gone up much in price. Now this is iPhone 6, we haven't updated this, but this is a little bit more detail of what bill of materials may look like. And that is, what you see here are all the different components that may go into an iPhone. Notice your iPhone has a Samsung processor in it. It has a Samsung DDR RAM inside, okay? It has a Samsung application processor and a Toshiba flash memory. See, all of these companies are just sell to each other. What's inside? Be any company. Right? But this is a bill of materials. Can I just point you to the fourth last row? Rest of bill of materials, 45. Total bill of materials, $172. Okay, see that? Bill of materials. Okay. So that's what we mean by bill of materials in the MRP process. So taking into account the lead time required to purchase materials and manufacture components, okay, the master production schedule specifies the quantity and timing of each item to be produced. Okay. Once production starts as scheduled, the output of each department is pushed through the production line. Now, with just-in-time production, we're pulling through, and so basically, what is telling the production to start is the demand for the product. And so most car manufacturing assembly lines, and I've been to the Toyota just built one in Zhongshan about 6 years ago, which is opposite, out of Guangzhou, opposite Hong Kong, just north of Macau. And I went to that production line about 2.5 years ago. It's one of the largest in China. And they were making about 6 different models of cars on the same line. And every car was a different colour or a different shape or size. And that was easy to do because they can just reprogram the robots to just do different roles and whatever. And so what determined what model went through, or whatever was being ordered by the car dealers around China? That's what determined what gets produced. they were not making inventory, hoping that people will come along and buy a car. They were just making whatever was being ordered by dealers. And the dealers, they were ordering what they know that they could sell. Okay? So that's what we mean by a demand pull just in time. Okay? And so the big thing about just in time production is that you need to have very, very good customer information systems. Why? Because it's the customer that's pulling the product through this. You need to have very good customer information systems. Right? Because you're only making something when a customer has actually said, I want to buy this colour, this function, and then you start to make it. That's it. So we go to the, finally, just before our break, features of just-in-time production systems. Number one, production is organised in manufacturing cells. So in other words, they're sort of like islands, they're work areas. You saw that in the Hooverboard manufacturing system I showed you, where they go, one worker just does one little part and then it rolls on to the next worker and they do a little part. Okay. Workers are hired and trained to be multi-skilled. Defects are eliminated. Again, we're focusing on quality. Setup time and manufacturing cycle are reduced, and suppliers are selected on the basis of their ability to deliver quality materials in a timely manner. So actually, suppliers are not selected on the basis of lowest price. They are selected in terms of reliability, their ability to not give you trouble. Like the trouble occurs in the timing, okay? And so if 1 or 2 out of 10 boxes of materials doesn't fit and work, it holds up the whole production if it's just in time, because you're not focusing on having safety stock. You're not focusing on having a buffer. So suppliers in a just-in-time system, it's even more critical that you have very, very reliable suppliers. And it's likely that those suppliers will be more expensive. So let's just finish up, summarise again. I put those pictures up again. Okay, the cost and benefits of just-in-time production. Okay, lower inventory levels, lower carrying costs. Okay, heightened emphasis on improving quality by eliminating rework, scrap, waste, and lower manufacturing cycle times. What do we mean by lower manufacturing cycle times? Well, we mean the time from start to finish of the cycle. So the efficient car manufacturers these days, they can make a car in 16 or 17 hours. Okay, 16 or 17 hours, make a car. You can get in and drive. Okay? That's just in time. Okay. So it's that 16 or 17 hours, that is the manufacturing cycle time. And another way of putting it, or make it easy for you to understand, is talking about assembly, okay? So you've got all the parts, they're not together, then suddenly they're together and there's your product, okay? So from A, you've got the parts, to B, you've got the product. That's assembling all the product, all the parts together. That's called what we call manufacturing. So manufacturing cycle time is that 16 or 17 hours it takes to make a car. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on ERP systems. Eugene, in Accounting Information Systems course, I think you have to take that. Part of auditing, part of your accounting degree. He talks about ERP. I was actually talking with him today. We just cover this, but we just introduce you. So an enterprise resource planning is more of a comprehensive system, right, that has everything. So when we're talking about resource planning, there are resources needed for manufacturing, like materials, parts, bill of materials, right, okay. But then there's resources associated with overhead, so planning of, your water, power, electricity, okay? And then you've got human resources, all right? And so when we say enterprise resource planning, it's about synchronizing the costing and the demand for the materials, the labour and overhead, okay? So don't overcomplicate what an enterprise resource planning system is. So for a company, if you go out consulting and they say, I want to put an ERP system in, you don't have to make it up. All you do, you go to Oracle, you go to Microsoft, you go to SAP. They're one of the biggest vendors in the world that provide ERP systems for companies. And then you go into the company and they find out, okay, what is your needs? And then they tweak their software and then, boom, got it. It's in. Okay, the hardest part about enterprise resource planning is people getting used to it. People getting used to having to input data into particular areas. Remember when you applied for this course, did you have to enter information in the way that Monash required, is that right? Not the way that you wanted to put it. And then you had to do it all. It took a long time because you couldn't just copy and paste. Yeah. So that enterprise resource planning causes that on humans when they put into a company, because humans have to get used to all the different fields and how data needs to be entered and represented. So it takes training and it can cause turnover, it can cause stress for humans. So how many of you have heard of Target? Do you know Target? Target is like, they're a major retailer in USA and Australia. So I was talking to one of the merchandising managers in Shanghai. They're managing 30 suppliers in Shanghai. So Target put in a full ERP system in their Shanghai office because they wanted to cut down their product design time to market from 80 days down to 40 days. Okay, so my new baby's clothes in the design to get it into market normally takes 80 days, nearly 3 months. But they want to cut it in half, so they put in this system. And so the merchandising manager was complaining to me, telling me that, this is such a nightmare because we cannot do everything until we put all that information in and then we press enter and then it won't because we missed a field here or there. And she was telling me that it was so much easier before we had that system in place to communicate with the suppliers. But now they have to communicate through the enterprise resource planning system. Okay, so companies are doing that. Why are they doing that? To speed up the whole process, to speed up the whole managing, ordering process, not just the manufacturing process. Yes, standardized versus customization. Yes. Okay, so the final part, and we're going to break in a couple of minutes, 2 minutes. I just want, actually this leads on to your assignment we'll talk after the break, and that is measurement. Okay. We love our measurement. Okay. I love measurement. Not KPIs, measurement. All right. Now, with measurement, okay, financial performance measures such as inventory turnover ratio is expected to increase in just in time. Why? Because you're holding less inventory. Okay? All right, so therefore you're replacing inventory very, very fast. Okay, so turnover is very fast, right? Non-financial measures are going to be something like how many days of inventory do you have on hand? Okay, so if you're turning over inventory 12 times per year, then you're going to have on average 30 days of inventory on hand. Are you with me? Okay, so that's not very efficient in a lot of industries. The units produced per hour is another measure. Number of units scrapped requiring rework. We don't want that to happen. And manufacturing cycle time, again, we mentioned that again. That's the time from start to finish of the whole production process. Total setup time for machines is expected to decrease. So you're actually reducing setup time. Remember, I'll just give you one last example of what buyers are giving manufacturers in developing economies a lot of headaches now, because 2 or 3 years ago they would come to the factory and say, I want to buy 10,000 units of the red colour. But today what they're doing is, no, I would like 2,000 of blue, 2,000 of green, 2,000 of grey, 2,000 of red. And then they expect the manufacturer to do it for the same price. And that's the challenge. And what happens when you have those 2,000? Then setup time for machines, that bottom measure, okay, that goes up. Because now you've got to do 5 setups instead of 1. Okay, so factories don't like that. But that's the reality, because that's how things are being ordered these days. Okay. The effect of just-in-time on product costing. At the end of the day, we are having much more focus on the direct tracing of cost to a product. So this is perfect for activity-based costing. And overall, what we're doing is reducing the overhead cost proportion, because we don't need as much warehousing. We don't need as much of these non-production costs that we need to allocate to all the products, because everything's just in time. We'll only turn the machines on when we are making something. Okay. And because we don't have inventory, we don't have warehousing, so we don't have warehousing overhead, and therefore we don't need to allocate as much overhead to the products. So just in time allows more direct tracing of costs to the products. And so you have less, what do you call it? What did you learn in Management Accounting 1? You have less inaccuracy of allocation of costs. Just use one plant-wide method, right? Versus ABC. Okay. That's it. And there's some terms to learn to keep in mind in preparation for your tutorials next week. So what we're going to do now, that finishes this whole idea of what just-in-time is about. Have a look at those 3 exercises that have been set for the tutorial next week. Try and look at them, familiarise yourself with those exercises before the tutorial. That helps you. Oh, there's no tutorial next week for your exercises instead. You're presenting instead. Do you want to do the tutorial exercises too? You won't have time, I'm sorry. I know you want to do it. Okay. Right.
Sure.
Let's have a break, 10-minute break now. When we come back, I want to show you a video, and then we're going to go over the assignment and preparation for next week. Okay? Thank you. Things left is we'll go over the assignment. But I cannot let you go without showing you one last video. And this involved a customer came to me earlier last year and said, I want to source 2 factories who can make, these earphones that go into your ear without the wire, like they're begging to be lost up there. Okay, lose one, you might as well throw the other one away. So, and that's the competition on Amazon. And so we identified two factories, Orchestrum and GP Technology. So we went to I went to those factories to see what they make, find out, okay, which factory should we buy from? So just like when we're talking about just-in-time chapter, which supplier is going to be the reliable supplier? It's not about the price. And so there's an initial information on the two suppliers, and this one's very nice because it fits into the capsule at the end, and this one makes an item that fits into the end that way. So you've got different ways. Generally, this capsule is a battery of about 700, 800 or 900 milliamp hours, something like a little ACW3431 AAA battery, okay? And you put the two earpieces inside, and they have about a 40, 50 or 60 milliamp hour battery inside them. And so you put them in there, and they can charge up the earbuds about 4, 5, 6 times. Okay, so that's how you that's how they become portable. Okay, so you always carry the housing around with you. So there's Orchestrum Technology we went to, and there the prices, FOB price, ranging from $15, $20 to $19. And there's the how much, what is the minimum order quantity? 5,000, 10,000, 25,000. So, 5,000, you're going to buy FOB 2150, that's $100,000 investment for 5,000 pieces. Wow, that's a lot of money. Right, so you better know your market, right? Okay, before you commit. What about GP Technology? They didn't have many different styles, but this is a diamond in the rough. They made this new design, and the actual power of this earphone, you can have a look. The chamber was 600 milliamp hours, and the power was 0.5 watt in each ear. It was a loudspeaker, and the battery is 45 milliamp hours. So then there were specifics from that supplier. And so what I had to do was to go into each factory. So they're the two factories we went into, and one was more established than the other. Neither of them were making the earphones on the day that we went to. So I was a bit disappointed about that because I was doing the audit for a real customer. And so we always have to have a look at the different, there's materials handling where the materials come in before they start making, okay? And then at the bottom here is their battery testing unit. So this is their testing lab where they're actually testing all the power units after they're made. So we go into the different stages. So this is not the assembly area or the factories, and these are different other parts that you have to check. Okay. Remember in that chapter it says you've got to look at non-price aspects when you're buying from a supplier. Okay, and so this is some of the non-price aspects that we look at. And so now we want to go to the assembly area. They weren't making to that, but there we saw that's what they were making. They weren't making on the day we were there, they just had the prototypes available. And they were making security cameras this day that we were there, so I was a bit disappointed about that because I actually wanted to see the assembly of the product that the client was going to buy. So, they're making security cameras here, and then I'm looking at this. This is the earpiece. The earpiece, the magnetic clips into each end and it charges up. Okay, so then what else do you have to do? Oh, you have to test the unit. So even though we didn't see them making it, we tested. This is the owner. And now I'm testing it to find out how far away does the Bluetooth operate? Is it easy to sync? And any problems with the Bluetooth? And this owner here, what I found was, wow, he's so in love with his product, in making the best product in the world. And that's why I call him a diamond in the rough, because not many factory owners are like that. They're not really interested in the product so much, they're more interested in making money. But this guy here is interested in making the best product, and that was amazing. So I told the buyer about this in the full audit report that we did. But the one at the top, we're paying 16, 17 US dollar minimum FOB, but this one here, he wanted 25 US dollar FOB, much higher. And when I tested it, the one at the bottom, when I tested it, I could be up to about 10 meters away from the transmitter and still hear it. Whereas one at the top, the signal went away when I was only about 4 meters away. Wow, this one at the bottom is really powerful. It's amazing. See them? So there's stories of two suppliers that I went through. I already showed you that one. But so I finished up with that, and just to impress upon you that none of you, I believe, will end up working in an assembly line or in a factory, but inevitably you will be working with supply chains in the organisation. And so understanding the whole supply chain is still important for understanding the business. That you'll be consulting with, you're in a big four accounting firm, you'll be doing consulting, you've got to look at the whole supply chain, you can't just look at a business these days. Okay? Because a lot more businesses they outsource everything. So you've got to audit the supply chain, you can't just audit a business. And increasingly, you need to be increasingly aware of suppliers in the business world. Okay? So that finishes that one, and now I want to talk about the assignment next week. Put your hand up if you want me to talk about the assignment. Some of you, okay.
See you also. Let's go. What do you got?
Excuse me.
See, I told you.
Okay, so this is the assignment, is that right? This is the documentation. I want you to pay attention.
Yeah.
If you've got a pen, take notes now.
I think the one already you, like when he discussed the
Because next week when you come into the tutorial room, there's going to be a judging panel, me and other people. Okay? It's going to be very serious. What I mean is serious to the extent, not that you have to dress up serious, I mean serious in terms of time management. Okay, so don't waste, if you're wasting time because you can't get the USB to work or this or that, then that works against you, okay? So just make sure everything is working, okay? Right at the beginning. Okay, let's have a look. Next week you have to do a presentation. Some of you are presenting on Monday. Who's presenting on Monday? Okay, some of you are presenting 4 days later, is that right? Put your hand up. Which is a bit unfair for those that have to present 4 days early. The rules here, it says you must present a soft copy 2 days before you present. So when is the latest for those presenting on Friday? That means you need to submit on Wednesday. So what we're going to make, everyone, you submit your soft copy on Wednesday next week, okay? Everyone happy with that? Right, everyone, same day.
Same anyway. Monday people have to present before this.
However, you're presenting on Monday, you still need to give me a hard copy of what you're presenting, okay? Because we need that for part of the judging. Because we take your PowerPoint slides and we'll overlay the marking schedule and then we'll grade it, and we may need to look at a couple of slides, what we like, what we don't like, and things like that. We need to be able to go through that visually during your presentation or after your presentation. Okay, so you need to give me a hard copy on the day before your presentation. Is everyone clear on that? Everyone at the back? Hard copy of PowerPoint slides, not your report, okay? PowerPoint slides. So what does a hard copy mean? Well, don't make it smaller than 4 big slides per landscape page, okay? Don't give me something with 6 or 8 slides on a page. I need to be able to read it. Okay. So a hard copy, you don't need to do 1 page per slide. You can do 2 slides per page or 4 slides per page, that's fine. Okay, but I assume that you've got a straight map with lots of small writing on it, then you might be better having 2 slides per page that you give to me. Okay? Is everyone clear on that? Hello? Right? The purpose of this, all right, is we need to have some memory of your presentation when we're grading your presentation. Okay? So we don't need to say to you in the presentation, oh, can you go back to slide 2? I said, and I can just flick back. You with me? Okay? So that's why you're giving that to us on the day you present, before you present. Okay. Yes? For the other judges. I'm just trying to think how many judges there are going to be. At a minimum, you need to give me 1 for me. Ovlin is going to be in the class 2, so you need a copy for him too. So 2 copies. 2 copies per group.
She didn't say anything, it's just 1 class. If she did, which means.
Okay, so that's the
Just in
presentation.
1 copy. Yeah.
You have 15 minutes. In other words, you're going to be cut off after 15 minutes. Okay, yes, sir.
Is there going to be a Q&A session?
If anything, it'll be a question from me if I need to ask a question.
Is there going to be part of the 15 minutes or?
My questions, if I ask any, it will be after the 15 minutes.
Okay.
Unless I really want to interrupt you between, yes. No, not to the fact that you have to. It depends. What do you mean by audience involvement? You asked the audience question. You asked the audience questions probably better than the audience asking you. Okay? Because part of getting an audience involved is actually spurring curiosity of the audience. Okay? If audience asks you a question, okay, then that's something that they don't understand, right? So that shouldn't be the point of your presentation, that you leave areas that they don't understand. But you can ask the audience a question to challenge them, to get them thinking, to get them. So when I say audience involvement, you ask the audience questions is a good idea. Yes. Okay, next question. the best way to prepare for next week is on the Saturday and Sunday is to rehearse. Okay? You just rehearse. Okay? I can tell you now, all right, the difference between the one that gets the highest marks and the one that gets the lowest would be the one that doesn't rehearse. I can tell you now, it's easy. I've seen this hundreds of times. Okay? It's not the content.
No.
Okay? You can give me the worst strategy map that's been done here. But if you rehearse a lot and you really know what you're talking about, grab the audience attention, you can make it the best presentation. Okay? So it's all up to you. So it's a time thing. Rehearsal is a time thing. You just got to do it again. If next Monday or Friday is your first time you're presenting, please don't be disappointed if you don't get high marks. Okay? That's just my experience. And next question is anyone? Have you had a lecturer come in and they haven't been prepared? Have you had that? Have you had a lecturer come in front of you and not be prepared? You're sure you have, right? But you can see it. You see the difference, don't you? Yes or no? Yeah, I can see the difference too. We can all see the difference, right? It's not about the content, okay? It's about how you make that content appealing to the audience. Okay, that's what you're doing next week. Okay, it's not about presenting everything. Some of you have come with me with elaborate strategy maps. That's all nice. That's good for the report. But when it comes to presenting, you may not have time to talk about every part of the strategy map. Okay, you should be talking about the story. Theme should be talking about one clear story. Okay? And if you're smart about it, you could give a summary. You give that part of your report, be a summary on top of your report. But that summary is that here are key 3 things about the strategy story of your restaurant, of your company, and then you give that back to the owner, that the owner can understand. And so if you put it into words that the owner can understand, then that's the type of simplification we're looking for in your presentation.
Influencer and then the influencer. When they say use the quote, use the quote, and that's how she tracks them.
Here is the criteria.
Like tracks their performance.
Right? The criteria hasn't changed. Remember, I'm talking about your presentation here. Okay?
But I'll edit that later because I heard what she said.
All right, engage the audience. Okay, how do you engage audience? Well, show them the appeal of the company that you visited. Maybe with visual, maybe with asking the audience a question and spurring their curiosity. Okay, all right, so what is special about that company? What is one thing that you learn about that company that no one ever knows about? Everyone else goes to that company, but you found out something that, wow, the average person doesn't know. Is there something? Is there something? Okay. there something special about the owner? Is there something, one little thing that's special? Hands up if you can think of something. Okay. Use that. Because audiences, they remember surprises. Do you know what I mean? Surprises. And that makes your presentation memorable when you can be surprised. Okay? Let's have a look. Were the arguments presented logically with intelligent reasoning? And so what we're looking for here is that story, okay? Here's the story, okay? So tell us the story in terms of it's in the strategy map. How does one link to the other? How does that link to the next? You with me? So, in other words, when we talk about the logic, we're talking about the systems thinking. Remember, systems thinking. A leads to B, then leads to C, then leads to D. You with me? That's logic, right? So when we say logic, then we're talking about that system. Okay. How effective were visual aids? Okay, so you use them in a creative way. You've got photos, you did the interview, why not show a photo of the interview? That's fine. That's all good. At least have a photo of the product or something. So we know we can get, you're bringing the audience contextually into
Which ones do you guys want?
into the subject matter. You with me? Okay. So
Which one do you guys want?
let me give you another example. Okay.
I think you
In
can
the
wear that,
textbook chapter,
Yes,
what was that last
you
chapter
can
we did on
wear
just in
underneath
time?
the dress thing.
20, right? And so in textbook in chapter 20, and near the end, I think page 811, there was
Yeah, I
two
don't know.
suppliers
I mean,
and does a nice comparison,
Up to you
right?
guys.
So do you really remember that?
Right.
Or do you remember the two videos I showed you of the two suppliers?
Such
Okay.
what? Such cool.
What were the two suppliers in the video making? You remember, right? Okay, so visual always helps in your memory. Okay, it makes my presentation memorable more than
Where
presenting
did
it
you
on the
even find the
textbook.
dress?
Did the presenters present as a group? Okay, how do you present as a group? The best way is to rehearse as a group. Okay,
Okay,
you
no.
class,
Oh, I think there's the second picture.
you just got to. This is just that one time for about 3 hours on the weekend where you just got to, as a group, say, okay, this is the group's time, not my individual time. And then you get together and then just do the presentation once and do it again and do it again and do it again and do it again. Okay? Just a block of 2 or 3 hours is all you need. But you've got to do it with the
Lecture, I
group.
was gonna have like very different looks
You
and
rehearse as a
everything
group.
the same thing.
Monday,
and
it'll become automatic.
show how it's actually like.
Because the whole idea
like
about
things so
presenting,
casual.
the whole idea about presenting is,
Since there's only 4 girls, then one
Excuse
can
me.
wear like full on
The whole
sports
idea
gear and
is
another
about
one can just like
you've got to get out of
the
your
dress over
mind
it, and then one can use
and you
sports gear,
into
but then you
the
mix it with your
audience.
own, I don't know
Okay.
what top or something like that. It shows
Have you
her
heard
kind
that
of
before?
position or something.
The problem our live presenters
But like it's not
is
very extra.
they're in their mind. What do you mean? Oh, it's like a computer.
Sure.
You know, the hard drive is in the brain, and you're always trying to access that hard drive to, oh, what am I going to say next? What am I going to say next? So you're always going back to your memory, what do I say next? And then you're not living that moment where you're actually alive with the audience.
Yeah.
The audience may not be there because you're spending all of your presenting time trying to remember what am I going to say next, what do I say next.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay?
You guys
The
decide
only
if
way
I
to get
like
out of
this
that
week so I can
is just
actually
to
get
rehearse.
or like this her or
Rehearse until it becomes boring. Okay? Seriously, that's why you don't rehearse. It gets boring. Do you ever read a book a second time? Hands up if you've read a book twice. So, 3 times, 4 times? It gets boring.
No, it does not.
Okay?
excuse
But that's the best way to learn something. By repetition. Presenting is very good for that. Did the presenters convey a strong, number five, the presenters convey a strong interest in the subject matter with enthusiastic, confident delivery? Interested, okay, so you need to show some interest in the business, okay? Show some, okay? Like, my voice is not good today, but okay, you've had me for 4 weeks, is that right? 4 weeks?
he
Okay.
uploads it.
Is there anything do you think I love?
It has to both 2017 and 16.
What is my interest? What do you think I'm in? By what I've showed you in the last 4 weeks, what do you think I'm in love with?
It's on Moodle.
Pardon?
It's on Moodle.
Suppliers, factories. You see that? I don't have to tell you. You know what I mean? I don't have to make it up. So that's what I mean by you've got to give that feeling that
And also, you can search it.
wow, you know, you're excited that you had this opportunity to visit this company.
We have this.
Yeah, we have the actual hard copy.
Even though
You can control it.
you'll visit 100 times before because you've had coffee there. But wow, there's this one extra thing that I didn't know about. This is it. And this makes it, wow, such an interesting experience every time I go there now. Did the presenters provide an impactful summary? So at the end of the day, an impactful summary is something like,
Only the
maybe
racial
this
spot,
wasn't
right?
impactful,
Only the
but
racial spot, right?
I think a big thing I was
Let me see.
trying to get you to take away from chapter 20 was this graduation from this trade-off
Is it?
to this trade-off
Is there a
here.
difference?
Okay, that was the big thing I wanted you to take away.
Ratios, is it?
I don't know.
Okay. The re-emphasis.
Is that the newest
Balance.
This one, yeah.
downloaded?
The trend, yeah.
Carry-in versus stock-out
He did it
costs.
already. See, we have to do everything.
So impactful summary, just,
So until 20.
I don't know, figure it out through your
It's the entire
rehearsals.
thing. Legend.
No, I mean, how
Something
many
impactful can be
Yeah,
more.
okay. Yeah. And then
The big strategy.
the notes. No, right?
it's already
Or jump up and down, yell out, say something funny, make it up, improvise.
here.
Maybe the last part is you improvise is okay. I hope this helps. Many of you have come to see me in the office
Oh, the
during
notes don't
consultation.
have any.
That's lovely, I appreciate that. When I was talking to Mason last November, when we were going to partner together to teach,
But got
I said to
green.
Mason, they've got to visit, the students have got to visit a real business. And she said, okay, all right, so, but you need to take them there, you need to introduce them. And I think the following week I said, they said, oh, maybe we get them to do some library work, okay. And then I came back in January, I said, they said, no, they've got to visit a real business for the assignment. And they don't need hand holding, they are adults, they know how to go and find something and talk to someone. They don't need us to introduce. And Mason said, okay. I said to Mason, don't worry, I will guide them. I will introduce it in week 1, just give me all the tutorials and let me guide them. Okay, so this is the first time we've done this. Okay, so all of you, if you've done the interview already, you've already passed, you've already won, you understand? Because you've gone out and spoken to a stranger and interviewed them about your subject content. First time in the accounting degree. So you have won this assessment already, right? So you've already passed. Okay, so now it's your chance to shine next week. Are you with me? You've already passed. No one fails this. Okay? It's just a chance to shine and try your best for next week. Okay? And some of you have showed me strategy maps and said, "Oh, this is okay." Everyone I've seen, they all look okay. They're all good. Someone just showed me one about an hour ago. Oh, that looks a bit rough. It's okay. It looks all right. I think someone came in the office yesterday to show me a strategy map on the computer. So you don't need to show me. It's okay. Right? Right? A strategy map is not. It's not about this is wrong and this is right. A strategy map is about trying to. It's a way of communicating between owner and employees about trying to get everyone on the same thinking about what the business is trying to do. You with me? And so whatever you have drawn as your strategy map, it's going to be different for every business. You see? And so you asked me, well, so if we're learning strategy maps, then there should be a minimum amount. Well, the minimum is that you have a learning perspective, operational, customer, financial, but how they link up, it depends on strategy, it depends on the business, depends on the product, depends on the service. Okay, and it could be different this year, it could be different next year, it could be a different year after, because competitors come along and different customers come along. So it's always changing. So part of the idea of the strategy map is it's okay to be rough with it, okay? What is important is to have more clarity on, okay, what is that story of the strategy? Okay, and that's where you need to have more clarity. Okay, what is the story? Okay, how is that company creating value? Okay, consistently, you know what I mean? And finally, and someone asked about KPIs, right? KPIs and management, okay, all right. KPIs is something that is, I guess I didn't want to use the word KPIs, but you can if you want to, but like big corporate companies, they use KPIs, right? Key performance indicators, because that's how they manage people from a distance, okay? Most of the companies that you have gone to, like the boss knows the employees, the boss sees the employees every day, you know what I mean? It's not like the measures are being used to manage the employees. Right? And probably for many of your restaurants, the boss doesn't want that to be the case. Okay? All right? But, so I wanted you to focus more on thinking about measures on, there's one or two customer measures that's going to probably be more critical. There may only be about 3 or 4 measures that you may want to focus on in your story. Okay? Not 12 or 13 measures. Please don't give me 12 or 13 measures.
Please stop.
How many measures?
Alright, it's not about more is better. Okay, when you're consulting, simple is better. Simple, cost-effective solutions is better, not more. Right? You've all spoken to owners of restaurants that they've put their life savings into their business. They don't have time for a sophisticated plan that you don't know or they don't know will work. But I don't know of anyone that doesn't have time to try one more measure.
Search non-current.
I was presenting, I do a lot of presentations for CPA Australia on non-financial performance measures. And I think there was one year, I think 2013, I gave a presentation, and then the following year I was given a talk on China. So this one guy, he happened to come again to another of my workshops, and he said to me, Neil, last year you asked us about how many measures should we had, and you told us just try one more measure, just try one. He said, I tried one and it worked, and my business just improved so much. And I thought, wow. So most of your restaurants that you've been to or something, maybe there's just one golden measure that they could try. Okay? If you go back to them and talk to them about what the solution is in your report, don't try and tell them, oh, you need to have these 5 measures. Tell them to try one measure. What would that be? Maybe that measure is customer satisfaction, or how often customers come back.
Bless.
It's got to be practical. Measures are practical. Measures are not theory. Okay? You should be measuring something that can help the owner do better tomorrow and the next day and the next month. You with me? Right? Measures provide feedback. Feedback for what? What do you need feedback for? Okay? For big corporates, they need feedback. Why? Because they manage people at a distance, right? So they use KPIs. Meet the KPIs, then you get the bonus. No? I don't think that's the case for all of your companies. Right? The measures may be more customer focused. Well, how many of the customers are you? How many of the customers have come through back for a second time, a third time? That would be good to know. You see? Because you want to convert new customers into coming back, right?
Just click 0. It's automatically.
No, it's not online.
Click 0 and
How many customers are come from outside of Selangor area? How many customers are from within Selangor area? Big or particular areas, right? Because that may drive where you do the promotions or advertising. Right. Any questions? I just wanted to just share with you the practical reasoning why we want to have some measurement. Any questions? Was this helpful? I've got a nice voice today, haven't I?
Are you done?
Yes. All right. Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much for the last 4 weeks.
can't find where
And I look
saved
forward to
it.
seeing you next week. We're going to have lots of
I
fun.
will go find it. I think
Just bring
I'm
2 hard
where you
copies
are.
of your PowerPoint slides.
But let me show a question. I was thinking
If
I was gonna just
there's still any outstanding questions,
sorry. Either I must make a mistake.
Yeah.
post them through the Hangouts
Yeah.
or tomorrow afternoon. I'll be in the office for a couple of hours tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow's my birthday, so just be careful. Right? Yes. So I'll be around if you need some desperate help. Okay. All right. So thank you very much.
So we have why is there a class? Class lecture, is it? Yes.